Hello. Hey guys, I didn't know this, but apparently, if you create a live that's scheduled on your phone, then YouTube thinks you're trying to go live from your phone and it doesn't let you go live from your computer. Interesting. I did not know that. Anyways, I'm not going live from my phone because my phone still has a cracked back, and so it gets really hot really fast. And so it's probably going to explode if I try to use it to go live today. But what I will do is take a quick selfie and put this link on my Instagram story so that everyone who clicked the old link knows that the old link is not working. It's this link that needs to be working. So, welcome back to week 9 of the Artist's Way. I do have a lot to talk about today because things have been happening, you guys. A lot has been happening. First of all, you're probably going to see that on my Instagram story. It's hot. It be hot in Mexico. And you know what? I signed up for that, so it's okay. Like, it's literally fine that it's hot. But it also kind of sucks because it's like, damn, I didn't realize it would be hot every single day. I didn't realize that it would be hot every single day. Okay, come talk to me at YouTube Live. Bada boom, bada bang, done. Okay, it's on my Instagram story now. And I made some notes so I know what to talk to you guys about. First of all, I hope everybody's doing well. You know, things have just been crazy these last. I know basically everyone I know had a crazy August. And usually August is a fun month, especially when you're a kid. August is a really fun month because it's like the last summer before school starts. And it's usually the hottest summer, no matter where you live. And you get to buy new stuff for back to school, and you get to go back to seeing your friends and all this stuff. So August is usually a fun month, right? But everyone I know has not been having a fun August. So if you haven't been having a fun August, I just want to send you some LOVE. Mwah. And hopefully that made it better. Okay, let's talk about the themes. The number one theme of the Artist's Way week 9 was laziness. Oh, guilty. Literally guilty. It's not, okay, so this is what you're told as a woman. You're told that if you're not as productive as a man, you're lazy, right? You're told that if you have free time, if you need to rest, if you're on your period and you're trying to sleep or you're not trying to move because your body hurts, you're lazy. And I grew up with this being ingrained into me because I come from an immigrant family and immigrant parents are very hardworking. So it's like, being lazy is one of the worst things you can be to an immigrant parent. Literally, anytime I would sit on the couch and just like not even do anything, just sit on the couch, I was called lazy. You guys know those flyers that they used to like distribute to your neighborhood and whatever, and it would have like all the local stores and it would have sales on it. I'm not sure if they still do that because I haven't lived in the suburbs in a really long time. But back in the days, that was one of my favorite things to do is like sit on the couch and look at flyers, and I'd circle all the things I want, and I would like dream about my parents buying them for me. So my parents would hate when I would do that. They'd be like, why are you sitting? Why are you resting? Why are you being lazy? Go do something. Go read a book. Go clean. Go do math. And I'd be like, what? So I grew up with this idea that like laziness is horrible. So what I read in the Artist's Way week 9 is that laziness is actually a block, like an artistic block, a creative block. And it all comes down to a fear of abandonment that came from being a childhood rebel. So most artists are childhood rebels, are rebels in their childhood because they don't like school, they don't like the traditional like path of doing things certain ways, and usually they're neurodivergent too, so they're like they pay less attention, maybe they're a little bit more messy, maybe they're a little bit more like they push the lines, they push the edges a little in terms of like what's acceptable for a child to do, right? So when you get reprimanded for this over and over and over again by your parents, then you grow up fearing the rejection from being a rebel, and that turns into laziness. Because being an artist is about being rebellious. It's about speaking out about literally everything, the political system, like trauma, like addictions, toxic relationships, that sort of thing. So you can't be a conformist and be an artist because you're not actually being an artist, you're being an actor at that point. And I'm a firm believer that, like, listen, it's okay to be an actor. If that's what you want to be, you can be an actor. But don't call yourself an artist. Just call yourself an actor. It's fine. You can be an actor. And this was revolutionary to me because I was like, oh, now I can stop shaming myself for being quote unquote lazy when all I'm really going through is a fear of being rejected for expressing my creativity. So, just in case anyone's beating themselves up for being lazy lately, just remember you're not lazy. You're just afraid of being rejected for being creative. Shocking, I know. And then the next step that I found out after that, which is also ties into laziness, is that procrastination is also fear. Procrastination is the fear of doing the thing that you're going to do. So like the laziness and the procrastination kind of go hand in hand. But the laziness is like, oh, I don't want to do it. And the procrastination is like, I'll do it later. Right? Like you still have the intention to do it. You still have the willingness to do it, but you just don't want to do it right now. And that's also fear. And she said, the author said in the book that the cure to fear, you would think that the cure to fear is courage, but it's not. And this was surprising to me. The cure to fear is love. I know, profound. Love what though? Like, how do you overcome fear? By using love. How do you use love to overcome fear? The way that you overcome fear is by loving yourself for being blocked. And I know that that sounds like backwards because our society only preaches self-love and self-acceptance when you're accomplishing things, when you're reaching milestones, when you're winning awards, when you're getting recognition. And it's like, but in order to even do those things that get you that recognition, you have to love yourself so intensely on a day-to-day basis when you're not getting any recognition, when you're not making any moves, when you don't have any milestones, when you don't have any awards. And that's incredibly difficult because you're the only person who likes yourself at that moment in time. So how are you going to love yourself through something that society tells you you shouldn't love yourself for? Excuse me, you know? And that's when I learned that artists need to stop punishing themselves with this idea of discipline. And again, I grew up in a family where laziness was not allowed, rest was not allowed, procrastination was not allowed. If my parents told me to do something, I had to do it right then and there. Otherwise, I got beat, I got reprimanded, I got privileges taken away. So much would happen if I didn't do something that my parents asked me to do right away, you know? And that creates procrastination when you get older. So, in order to cure procrastination, you have to love the parts of your artist self that are blocked. Give yourself compassion. Be like, it's okay. You're just afraid. It's fine. You're not going to die. You'll be okay. Love you. And then you have to remind yourself that discipline is not the goal. Playing is the goal. And this blew my brain. Blew my mind, actually, because our society once again tells us to be disciplined. And when you're an artist, you don't have discipline. You make art when you feel like making art. You say things when you feel like saying things. You do a show when you feel like doing a show. You text your friends back when you feel like texting your friends back. You burn your computer when you feel like burning your computer because you're just like, I don't care. This is what I feel like doing. We're very emotional people, and we use our emotions to make a lot of our decisions. So what happens is we fall into this trap of self-hatred because we punish ourselves for not being disciplined, and we punish ourselves for for procrastinating and for being lazy. The cure to not being disciplined is to play. And to play means to address your work, to come to work as if it's a game. So like instead of being like, I have to wake up at 6 a.m. and paint, then you're like, pretending you're a toy soldier or something, and you're gonna wake up at 6 a.m. to do your routine, your workout routine, or whatever it's called for like war, military training, that sort of thing. So treat it like a game. Be like, okay, time to get the uniform on and put the hat on and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm trying to say. Treat it like a game. Instead of being like, oh, I got to record music today. Be like, I'm putting on my little props. This is a show. This is a play. And I think that that's like so profound because artists, actually adults in general, just take themselves so seriously. And this is kind of why I'm a very like lonely person, because I don't take myself seriously at all. But then when I'm around other people, I take myself too seriously around other people sometimes. And I do that because I think that if they see me being my playful self, they're going to think I'm dumb and they're going to take advantage of me, which has happened so many times actually. So I'm like, I've almost learned to just be serious, which is very sad because I'm actually not I don't mean that I'm not serious in a sense that like nothing is important to me. I mean that I'm not serious as in like I'm always joking around. I think everything is funny. I want to laugh. I always want to laugh. That's my number one priority, is to laugh. If I'm not laughing, I don't want to be there. So if I have to take myself seriously, like I don't want to be around those people. And most of the time, I do have to take myself seriously because, once again, when people see that you're a very playful person and you're a creative on top of that, you're a talented person, you're an easy target. You're an easy target for getting robbed or for getting scammed or for getting played. Like, as ironic as it sounds, the more you play, the more of a target you are for getting played. So a lot of adults, a lot of artists, a lot of creatives have had to put on a serious mask when they interact with people in public, because the more people see you enjoying your life, the more threatened they feel by you, which is really sad. But that's why I don't document much of what I do when I'm doing art, when I'm being creative. I don't really document my journey. And this is another thing that's really difficult about being an artist, because right now it's all about documenting your journey. That's why I'm documenting this right now. But like, I'm not really doing anything creative right now. I'm just talking. But like, documenting making music or documenting painting puts a spotlight on something that's such an intimate moment with myself. Like, the whole point of being an artist is that I get to be vulnerable. 110% vulnerable with myself, with my emotions, with my feelings. So to document that and then to post it automatically makes me perceive myself outside of my body. Like, I take myself out of my body and I apply a third person perspective, and I'm like, oh, how am I going to be perceived now? Now it's less about the art that I'm making and more about how I'm going to be perceived. So I'm actually a firm believer in just making the art. Make the art in private and then talk about the art later. Like, you don't have to document the process if you don't want to. Later on, you can like act out part of the documentation. Like, you can pretend that you're singing into the mic when you're actually not, or you could tell the story and like reenact some of the scenes that were going on. Like, that's fine. But actually documenting the whole process of making music is like not a fan of that. Yeah. Anyways, the best thing I learned this week has to do with the word enthusiastic. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you saw that I already posted about this. So apparently, enthusiasm or enthusiastic comes from the Greek word theos, which means God, and enthusiasmos, which means finding meaning in. So when you put it together, having enthusiasm means you find meaning in being possessed by God. And that goes back to my point about being childish or being playful in like social settings. Because when you're an enthusiastic person and you show up to a social setting, a lot of people are going to tell you that you're doing too much, or they're going to tell you that you're acting like a child. They're going to tell you to tone it down. They'll be like, why are you doing the most? Why are you being so extra? Calm down, relax. You don't need to be the center of attention. And I've heard that before. And I've also had those thoughts about other people who showed up being enthusiastic when I was not healed. So I completely get it. So it's just unfortunate, because to find happiness in being possessed by God is such a profound thing. And it's such a deep experience, actually. Like, that's kind of our purpose as humans, is to find that euphoria, that enthusiasm, and to apply it to the work that we're doing, or even just to sit in it. Like, you ever hear a song and it sounds like you're meeting God and you're like, whoa, that artist had to have that emotion while they were making that song in order to put it in that song. So imagine if someone told them, don't be too enthusiastic, don't do the most, calm down, chill out. Now, the emotion behind the song is gone because they're not connected to God anymore. They're not possessed by that God energy anymore. So when I realized that, when I learned that, I was like, period, I'm gonna be enthusiastic about everything. Hi, my love. Hi, Senna. I appreciate you for showing up. I appreciate you for showing up, my bestie. Mwah! Anyways, I did write some more notes, but I'm going to go through them quickly, pretty much, because I want to actually do things. That's the thing, is like, I'm really enjoying reading this book, but sometimes I find that reading this book is like, I like learning. I love learning. Actually, learning is the purpose of my existence. But sometimes I be learning too much in a short amount of time, and I don't have enough time to actually implement the things that I'm learning. So what I learned, the last thing I learned in this week, is the 5 steps to overcoming a failure, a creative failure specifically. Because always let me know when you're going to go live. I had no idea. I just scrolled and found your live. Really? I posted it on my story. Well, usually I go live every Monday night on YouTube, but I haven't been going live on Monday for the past 2 weeks because I went live on Thursday last week, and I'm going live on Tuesday this week because I needed a little bit more time to catch up on the book since I had an eye infection last week and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't even look at a screen. But I will. I'll let you know. Next Monday, I'm going to do week 10, and then I have 2 weeks left, and then I'm done reading The Artist's Way. And then I'm actually going to start like another series. I don't know what it is yet, but we'll see. So these are the 5 steps to overcoming a creative failure. Okay, step number 1, list out all your grudges and anger about the failure or failures. And this is typically supposed to be done before you start a new project. So like, before I start recording a new song or even writing a new song, I need to do this. I need to sit down and do this because I do have those thoughts and feelings still in my head and in my body. So listing out your grudges or your anger is helpful because it reminds you like, oh, I do still have things I'm upset about. Like, I do still be carrying grudges. I do still carry resentment. And then once you recognize that, you can let it go. 2 is to list out all the fears about the project or anyone connected to it. And again, this is important because if you worked with someone on a project previously and then you fell out with them, the next time you try to work on a new project, that relationship's going to come up in your mind and be like, oh, what if I can't find a new relationship again? Or what if I find a new relationship and the same thing happens? And I'm talking about like managerial relationships or like publishing relationships or like professional business relationships. And I have this issue, which is why I tend to self-isolate, because I'm like, I can't trust anyone. They're all going to do me wrong. They're all going to snake me. And it's because I don't heal from the fact that like some of my relationships fell through. So I got to do that. Also, number 3 is to list out any additional suppressed fears or anger. So she literally emphasized this, like, list out the things that piss you off, that you're not over, list out the people who were involved in it, and then go back and make sure you didn't miss anything. And I'm like, okay, true. Because we tend to minimize the things that piss us off because we're like, it wasn't that big of a deal. Get over it, all the stuff, right? Then 4, ask yourself what you stand to gain by not doing this work. So like, if you have intentions to start a new project and you don't start it, then you have to list out what you're going to gain, what you stand to gain by not doing this work. Wait, sorry, did I write that wrong? Ask yourself what you stand to gain by doing this work. Yes, by doing this work, not by not doing this work. So what that means is, if you make the new project, what are you going to gain? And this is incredibly important because a lot of the times I make a song and I post it and I'm like, okay, now what? You know? So it is very important to make sure that I understand why I'm making why I'm making a song, why I'm making music, why I'm doing a project. And then lastly, you make a deal with yourself, which I thought was really interesting and a good idea too. Because when you don't have a deal with yourself, there's no one to hold you accountable. So you can abandon the project if you want, and nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know. They're gonna know. How are they gonna know? They're not gonna know. Which is why you should sign an agreement with yourself. So the deal goes like this. Okay, creator, which is like source, God, energy, whatever. You take care of the quality, I'll take care of the quality. And then you sign off on it. And you post it in your office or in your workspace, studio, wherever, so that you can look at it every day. And yeah, that's literally what I'm going to work on before I start writing new music. Anyways, that concludes week 9. Tomorrow, I'm going to post a video on Instagram, like a reel, with a Spanish song that I've been working on. I've been working on this song for a good since March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months. 6 months I've been working on this song. Okay? How would they know? Exactly, how would they know? But I'm really happy with the way that the quality turned out. And basically, this is the point in my life where I'm like, okay, am I either going to learn how to record myself, or am I just going to dedicate music to hiring dedicate money to hiring an engineer? Because I don't know how to record myself right now. And it discourages me so much because I'm just like, oh, why does it sound so much better in my head? Yes, I'm very hot and I'm very sweaty because my fan is on low volume so that I can actually have clear vocals when I'm on YouTube Live. But yeah, so I would appreciate your feedback on that video when I post it in the morning. Okay, that is it for week 9. Senna, I appreciate you as always. Mwah, my love. And everyone else who popped in here, even if it was just for 30 seconds, thank you. Love you. See you next week. Bye.